Welcome to the Freelance Sucks. Here we discuss the dark side of freelancing about which nobody usually talks out loud. In this show, we speak with experienced freelancers, and I'm sure listening to their stories helps you prepare for freelancers' challenges. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Code Control and 9am.works, and my guest is Nermin Sehic, a full-stack developer with over 8 years of experience in web and mobile development, and startup founder who employs and works with freelancers on a daily basis. So, welcome, Nermin.
Hi, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Super happy to talk to you. And for you, what is the most challenging part of being a freelancer?
Do I have to pick one, or I can talk about like several?
Like, if there are more, let's talk about all of them.
Yeah, there's definitely more. The first one is okay. I'm gonna start easy. Like finding a good project to work on. People think, oh, especially in software development, oh, there's so much demand for software developers. It must be so easy for you to find a job or something like that. But once you kind of go a bit deeper in, you notice like there's a lot of jobs that are just ridiculous. In the sense that either the pay is too low or the amount of work that it's required is ridiculous, like out of this world.
Yeah.
Or even if you find a cool job, it's like 3 months of work. So that pressure of finding a good freelance gig that can last like 6 months to a year, that pays well, you have a client that has a good communication, understands that you're a freelancer, not like a 24 member on the team, that you can always respond to their messages and stuff like that. It's very difficult. And usually, you can, if you're just starting your freelancing career and then you're trying to bid on different projects, and then at one point you might see that it kind of bounces back from the other side, like you're not getting the feedback that you want. It can have like a very bad psychological effect on you that you might just decide to quit. So I'd say that's one of the challenges, definitely. Uh, Financial reasons, obviously. Either the client doesn't pay, or you lose a job, like something that happened in the recent months due to the layoffs in US. It also affected Europe as well. You just get an email, hey, we appreciate your work, it's been great, but starting Monday, you can just like, turn off your Slack, we don't need you anymore. Which is fine. That's why you have a high rate, because you're a freelancer, you're kind of a disposable asset. You're there kind of as an extension of the team. It's all understandable from the business point, but just like when you're working there and then preparing for that mentally that you can be laid off at any time, it's also kind of challenging, and it's not for everybody. So you have to be very responsible with your financials. Always have a buffer, some money aside to help you go on going. Logistical issues, like you're a freelancer, you have to do all of your taxes, you have to pay your pension, your health insurance, whatever, all the crap that you are required by law. Bank fees are killing you. So from somebody to pay you something from US to Europe, that goes like 7 different banks. Every bank takes a fee. I was once angry at the bank because they took like 2% of my income. And then I asked them, okay, why are you taking 2%? And then they gave me like a detailed PDF of why the 2% is, and then you can actually see how this financial system works. Like it doesn't go directly from one bank to another. It goes like from a local bank to a regional bank, and then an overseas bank, and then again to a regional bank, and then a local bank, and then the conversion between USD and whatever currency you're in, and then blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, okay, I understand why it's 2%. So
You know,
I would say those are the challenges.
it's just the beginning. I will name this episode "Why Not to Become a Freelancer."
Okay. No, no, no. I didn't say it. So this is just like a minor challenge you need to overcome in your great and thriving freelancing
Minor
career.
challenges. Okay, so
Minor challenges.
I
Although
I
it's something that you would probably have to deal in one point or another if you're a business owner. So it's not really strictly related to freelancing. So it's a common business problem. It's just you're alone, so it's kind of a more burden on you.
so I've heard before about finding projects, about negotiating salaries, but tell me about receiving a feedback. You told that it's hard to receive a feedback as a freelancer.
Well, when you apply for a project and you don't get it, people usually will not tell you why you didn't get it because you're probably one of like 1,000 applicants to that. I don't know, 1,000, like 100 applicants usually per job. So the HR manager or startup founder or whoever you're trying to negotiate with doesn't really have time or interest in giving you a feedback why they didn't hire you. Maybe if you went in like an inner decision circle, like maybe you and three other people, and you don't get the project, they might tell you, okay, we chose this person because he was cheaper or geographically closer or has this particular experience in this particular area we're really interested in. Uh, but those are very rare moments, and usually that happens when you're already experienced and you kind of know your way around the freelancing bidding business. But once you're starting, you just have to prove yourself and you apply to a project. Usually, you will not get a feedback if you don't get it, which might be a bit difficult because you don't know what to improve. There's no communication from the other side, so you just have to assume, okay, it's them and not me. Or you have to assume if it's me, why am I making a mistake? Why am I not getting a project? Which is again difficult because you've never gotten a project before, so you don't know what to improve. So it's a chicken and an egg situation, which is very difficult. And I see a lot of people give up on their freelancing career because of it.
And how did you manage with, how did you deal with this challenge?
Um, I tried several different things. So what I learned is that when you're bidding for a project, having a portfolio is very important. And at the very beginning, because you don't have any project, there's no portfolio to show. So I kind of made up some of the projects that I'm working on. Like I did a personal project for a fiction company that didn't exist, like food delivery or something, and just built an app and then posted it on my GitHub. I was contributing to a lot of open source projects, so when somebody asked me what did you do, I send them a link to like 10 different projects. And what happens, usually the HR manager is not a tech person, so when you send them a link for a huge community project that has like 10,000 endorsements on GitHub, and then there's your name and like one of the million commits, they're like, oh my god, this person is a rock star, even though you fixed like a label or a typo or something. So it really, I mean, that's true. I got one job because I contributed to a repository that had a typo. I was annoyed by the typo. I mean, yeah, you do what you gotta do. And I was also trying to work my way through several different platforms. So obviously Upwork is probably somebody's first go-to place, but then I also found some other places, and I was trying to kind of dedicate my time into building a good profile on all of them. I built my own personal website. I started to write blogs. I was active on Stack Overflow. So all of the things that were kind of giving me exposure. So when somebody types my name in Google, something comes up, and then it kind of gives me credibility. It shows people that I'm engaged into the community and that I know what I'm talking about. That's, I think, the most important thing.
How did you find it out? How did you start your like all this adding like giving to the community? How do you start kind of building your brand?
Um, I gotta say it doesn't happen overnight, so it takes a lot of time into it. If you're a developer, obviously GitHub is going to be your number one kind of tool. You start from there, and if you follow people around, you see like most of the top top community leaders, let's say top people in the community, usually have their blogs. So you read them, you follow them, you learn through them, and then you at one point say, okay, yeah, I could do this. I have something to share. You'll maybe start a medium blog, and then you'll figure out, okay, yeah, maybe I could do something a bit more creative. I'll host my own thing. I'll do a podcast. So these things kind of start to come in as you're working. You feel comfortable, sharing more, doing more. At one point, I even started to get invited to talk to conferences, to meetups. So it's kind of like a snowball effect. Once you start, it kind of grows bigger, and then over, I don't know, like a span of 2-3 years, you might be able to build a solid brand, have your name, have some credibility. By that time, you will also get several projects, so your portfolio is going to look good, and that's how you kind of, make an impact.
Yeah, exactly. What you're saying is just warming my heart because I totally feel how it works, and I totally know how that it doesn't work overnight, and you have to be very consistent and continue doing stuff even though you might receive no feedback. So kudos to you for doing that. And you talked already about like a full range of challenges, but what is the most time-consuming thing you've dealt as a freelancer?
Um, this might be an advertisement for code control, but before that, it was looking for new projects. Definitely takes a lot of time for you to research. You find a project, and you have to bid on it. You have to give a description, several interviews and calls, stuff like that. What I liked about code control when I became a member of the agency is, well, there's a person who is basically doing all of that work for me, and then it just lands kind of in my inbox, which kind of helped me focus more on some other things. So I would say that was the most time consuming thing for me.
And what is the most nerve-consuming thing?
Payments. What happens usually, I mean, in most of the cases, I didn't have, I won't say, I never had like a particularly negative experience. I maybe had like one or two clients that never paid like some smaller invoices. But when you're a freelancer, you only maybe have one project, and the pay that you have is somewhere on the edge of, covering all of your bills.
Yeah.
If the invoice is late, due to whatever reason, like it could be bank issue, the client didn't have time to do the invoice because they're like all over the place. How do you communicate? First of all, you're frustrated that the invoice is late, but how do you communicate it in a nice way so the person doesn't get offended or doesn't terminate your contract, but you're like too annoying? I don't know. Imagine you're working for some millionaire who has like 1,000 employees, and then you're writing, "Hey, my 5K invoice is late. Can you help me out? You're like 20-year-old broke student somewhere in remote part of the world." So that was really my frustration for a long period of time, until I managed to get into a pay grade where I don't really care if an invoice is late, because you
Yeah.
start to make some serious money, and then even if it's late, you have some buffer. And after that, you kind of get into, I got more into B2B relationships where those things don't really happen. So, but at the very beginning, like when you need the money the most, in that early stage of your freelancing career, that's where the invoices are late the most, which is kind of frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. I totally hear you and feel you. And yeah, totally. So if your friend wanted to become a freelancer, what are top 3 things you'd advise them to consider before doing it?
Um, my first advice would be not to start full-time freelancing from day one, because there's just so many things that can go wrong, and you have at least your own life to kind of take care of, and potentially you have family or something. So my advice would be to maybe start a part-time thing alongside with your current job, if you have any, because that will relieve you some of the pressure that, for example, I had when I radically switched to freelancing. Um, Second thing is to, as we talked about before, build your own brand. It will give you more credibility to the other. What I what I did in the recent period when I was freelancing, I tried to position myself in the shoes of a person who is receiving my application and try to judge myself from their perspective. Like, I don't know, you have a person living in California, I'm a freelancer from Bosnia, and I'm applying to a job. Like, there's a huge difference in like mentality and culture and geographic difference and like time zones and whatever. So for me to approach that person and for that person to like me, a lot of things has to align. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, yeah, I'm drinking coffee in California, and then an email comes from some Nermin in Sarajevo. How can I stand out and make this guy like me, and then we can have a conversation face to face, after which I'm confident I'll be able to convince him I can work for him. So that's how I started to kind of think about my applications and bits, and it's really helped me out. And the third thing I would say is you have to really be persistent, even when things seem that they're not going in their best direction. Persistency is just trying to improve your process is something that should help you out in the long run.
Exactly. Like I really wish to have the sky as the limit, Nerman, but time is the limit. And the final question, if you were starting freelancing today, what is one thing you would have done differently?
If I was starting my freelancing career today, um, maybe at the very beginning, I would be more strict in terms of what projects I'm taking on. I got into a loop of at one point during my beginning of my freelancing career, I wasn't able to get like a proper project, so I just took whatever came into my plate. Like I don't know, €1,000 project, which was worth €10,000. And then I noticed I lost a lot of energy and time into building that for no or little financial income. And if I hadn't done that, maybe I could have invested the time into actually looking for something different, better, improve my, or at least do something personal that could help my portfolio. Uh, it's difficult because if you have like a financial pressure, you have to take something. But I did quite a few of those at the very beginning, which didn't really have a much of an impact on me in terms of professional development, but took a lot of energy from my like daily activities that I really didn't have a desire to work on something after that. So I probably would have been more patient, which is easy to say from this perspective, but yeah, maybe that's something that I would do differently.
Yeah, but I feel it's something that comes with experience, because I can imagine like a newcomer freelancer and like receiving a project like the first no, I will pass on it. It's like too low. But I feel
Yeah,
like, out of the
because
experience, I feel like that's exactly what people have to do because,
because you feel like, okay, this is my only opportunity. If I don't take this project, I'm never going to work again in my life. So you
yeah.
just take it, and maybe you missed an opportunity, and like 2 days after that, something new might come up, which is like 10 times better. I'm not saying just like skip on every project, but like the stupid ones where people are trying to take advantage of you, those I would skip.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. So Nerman, thank you very much for sharing your challenges and for having such an open conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and all the best.
And thank you so much for listening. If you liked the episode, hit the like button or 5 stars and share it with your friend. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.